Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is the Christian Geek Radar, where I shine a spotlight on some cool stuff that may be of particular interest to Christian geeks. The first news I want to highlight is probably the news item I'm most personally excited about. Last Friday evening, I had the unique pleasure of recording an episode of Fireside Chats in person with Colin Moriarty of Colin's Last Stand. If you're not familiar with Colin Moriarty, he's been a unique and prominent voice in games media for a number of years, establishing his career over at IGN and later leaving to form Kinda Funny and Kinda Funny Games alongside games media personality Greg Miller and other associates from his IGN days. In March of 2017, Colin left Kinda Funny and created his own brand called Colin's Last Stand, which focuses on a mixture of his interests, including video games, politics, and history. Colin has also been an outspoken atheist for many years, although he really enjoys talking about matters of faith and is really, I think, a refreshing voice in terms of the grace and respect that he brings to his conversations with Christians. I personally have felt a growing affection for Colin since his early days with Kinda Funny, appreciating his thoughtfulness in dialogue and detecting some kinship even with him in the way that we both seem to be wired. It was that affection that really recurringly gave me a desire to reach out to him and share some thoughts about faith that I suspected he maybe hadn't heard from anyone before. And I also wanted to share some resources that I've found valuable as a Christian who is highly skeptical and prone to asking piercing questions about my own faith. And so he took me up on the offer, which was a bit of a surprise, and it was somewhat stress-inducing. I mean, I'm no stranger to podcasting. I've been doing it since 2007 with what is now the Christian Geek Central podcast, new episodes of that every week since 2007 about. But I do tend to be a slow, careful, and deliberate thinker with poor memory for, factoids, and so I'm intimidated by debate. And Fireside Chats isn't a debate show by any means, but Colin very, I think, fairly and appropriately pushes back a bit regarding the merits of the beliefs that his Christian guests share on his show. And so I really wanted, to do a good job and represent the truth well, but at the same time, it's very intimidating. Despite all of my irrational fears, though, as I prepared to drive out to California and have that conversation, it was a fantastic time for me, and Colin really seemed to enjoy himself too and appreciate the time, the conversation that we had. And so in celebration of that, I'm going to be releasing two videos, one before and one after my Fireside Chats episode is published over on his Patreon page, which is patreon.com/ColinsLastStand. In the first video that I put out, releasing in late July or early August, I think, I'll share what I did to prepare for my chat with Colin. I'll also talk a little about the first moments where we introduced ourselves and prepared to record the episode. And then in that second video, which I will release soon after my Fireside Chat episode is published, I'll reflect on how I felt the interview went. Spoilers, I thought it went great, but I'll be more specific. And I'll list some of the topics I had prepared to discuss, but that actually never came up. Despite the fact that Colin has interviewed 4 Christians already on Fireside Chats, we covered some new ground in this conversation, and both of us had some surprising thoughts to share with each other. I don't think I could be any happier with how the whole thing went, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. There is no firm release date for the Fireside Chats episode yet, but rough estimates put it sometime in August with the possibility of September as well. I will be sure to make an announcement as soon as I have a firm date. In the meantime, and before I post the first of my 2 videos, I want to invite you to get to know Colin Moriarty a bit by visiting his Patreon page. Again, that's patreon.com/ColinsLastStand. And if you'd like to see how he has interacted with Christians in the past, be sure to check out Fireside Chats episode 23, titled Faith and Religion in the 21st Century, episode 61, Fighting the Culture War with Roaming Millennial, episode 69, Theological Intrigue, and episode 84, The Southern Baptist. And then stay tuned. In a few weeks, I'm going to share the details of what it's like to prepare for a conversation with Colin Moriarty and describe the experience of meeting him face to face, which was really great for me. I also want to remind you, as another little in-house news item, that Spirit Blade Legacy Edition is now available to listen to for free in its entirety, split up into 3 parts on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/christiangeekcentral. Those videos also come with text commentary that takes you behind the scenes on the making of our groundbreaking sci-fi/fantasy mashup audio drama. So you can get that for free over at youtube.com/christiangeekcentral. Then a couple of video game news items. The Christian dev who made the video game Citizens of Earth, which released back in 2015, has now released Citizens of Space. And the description reads, "Representatives of the Galactic Federation, thank you for having me here tonight to celebrate Earth's acceptance into this noble organization. It is an absolute honor to act as the ambassador of Earth, a most honorable role, and what's that? Earth is missing, and it's up to me to find the missing pieces, and I can recruit citizens of space to do battle for me?" So it has, the description is a little bit kind of flavorful and actually doesn't unfortunately say much about the game, but it's a very, as far as aesthetics go, it's a very cartoony style, isometric view RPG that looks like it came right out of a Saturday morning cartoon, and the battles take place in like a side view, turn-based kind of format, and you are recruiting other creatures and NPCs and stuff to kind of do battle in those combat scenarios for you. And so if I'm sure you can find reviews for Citizens of Earth, and this is just taking it one step further, going into space. But anyway, I would highly recommend checking this out if you're interested in specifically supporting Christian developers who are creating games for the mainstream, but bringing their ethics and their worldview into the game making process. So again, that's Citizens of Space, available right now on Steam and on all modern consoles. And another item in video game related news, Variety reports that the Myst property has been sold. Its film and TV rights have been sold to Village Roadshow, and so it's unclear at this point exactly what's going to happen, where this is going to go, and this isn't huge news in terms of like, oh my gosh, something is definitely going to happen. It just means that the rights have been sold to Village Roadshow, but right now it seems that they are interested in exploring, isn't it the catchphrase every day, but an expanded universe of some type where they're doing both film and TV types of material. It's, I have no idea what to make of this or what it might become, but Myst is probably the most well-known video game to be created by a developer who is a Christian, and so that's why I thought it was worthy of note. It'll be interesting to see what develops there, if anything solid in the end. Now I want to turn it over to Adam Collins for some news from the world of Christian geek fiction.
This is the Christian Fantasy and Science Fiction Bulletin for June 2019, bringing you the news of the latest releases created by Christians. I'm Adam David Collins. Kathy Tyers is releasing One Mind's Eye. What if an artificial reality was all you'd ever known? On the planet Antar, Lynn Torfin awakes to reality as if for the first time. With no memory of the real world, the human settlers found her abandoned, hooked into an AR machine, and wasting away. Physically and mentally, she must learn how to live in a system at war with alien threats at every turn. The book is available for pre-order and releases on the 18th of June. Laura Van Arndonk Barr is releasing Shard and Shield, Book 1 of the Shard of Ellen. He can save her life if he sacrifices himself and those he swore to protect. When the artifact intended to end an interdimensional war is damaged, a mage is trapped on the other side of the rift with her servant. King's bastard, Shannon Becknam, is desperate to rescue her. As their people's wasted armies prepare for fresh battle that will devastate both sides, bastard, mage, and monster must set aside prejudices and rivalries to end a centuries-old conflict before they die as traitors. This book is recommended for fans of Patrick Rothfuss and Brandon Sanderson. It's available for pre-order and releases on the 2nd of July. Steve Raza has released Mixed Messages, Book 4 in the Vincent Chan series. This time, Vincent has been tasked with finding a lost operative, the woman who broke his heart. But an old adversary is one step ahead, determined to claim the storied treasure from a legendary starship. Joshua C. Chad has released the Brothers Creed box set, the complete Zombie Apocalypse series, which is currently available for 99 cents for a limited time for all 5 books. Two brothers fight to survive the end of the world with their faith and humanity intact. Follow a band of characters led by James and Connor Anderson as they face the undead and the worst of humanity. These books read like The Walking Dead from a Christian worldview. Paul Regnier has launched the Christian Speculative Fiction podcast, where he interviews authors such as Kerry Neitz, Steve Raza, Mary DeStefano, and many more. H.L. Burke is releasing Heart of the Curiosity. Born with a magical knack for manipulating emotions, Leodora's only dream is to ensure her talented little sister dances on the biggest, brightest stage in the Republic. The Curiosity, a grand old theatre of tradition and innovation. Enter a world reminiscent of The Greatest Showman, with a puzzle worthy of Sherlock Holmes and National Treasure, in this new steampunk fantasy from H.L. Burke. The book is available for pre-order and releases on the 27th of June. Nikki Haverstock has released Dragons Are a Mage's Best Friend, the Casino Witch Mysteries Book 8. Ella and Vanessa must investigate the latest murder in their small but magical gambling town, with only a few minor inconveniences, like an avenging angel, a surprise posse of clueless ghosts, and an illegal baby dragon. And here's one that I missed back in April. The Darkened Land, Finding the Light and Defeating the Darkness, a Christian allegory. The Seven Towers, Book 1, by Larry Parris. Separated from the world of darkness by a bottomless chasm lie the Stones of Light. The king has built a bridge from that world to his kingdom across the chasm to give people access once again to the stones. He has established 7 cities of light and 7 towers as beacons to the darkened land. T.E. Bradford, author of the Divide series, says of the book, The Darkened Land is an epic fantasy at its very best. If you love Tolkien, you won't want to miss this premier novel by Larry Parris.
That's just a tiny slice of the news and content that you can get if you want to take a deeper dive and get a lot more information about all that's going on in the world of Christian geek fiction. You can check out Adam Collins on YouTube or go to adamdavidcollins.com for a ton more information about what's going on in that realm of publishing. And if you'd like to suggest a website to be featured on the Christian Geek News Radar, you can drop a link in the comments or email me at paeter@spiritblade.com. And since there is so much that I just can't fit into these monthly videos, if you want to stay up to date on the notable news in Christian geekery, you can do that by following Christian Geek Central on Twitter at Christian_geek. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I've created some new tiers for our Patreon. On top of many of our original perks, I've added Discord live events, spoiler chat videos, and more. You can get all the info at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions.